In just the past year, we've heard voices of anger, of frustration, and pressing calls to our leaders to help keep our kids safe.
And tonight, investigative reporter Brian News taking a close look at what's been done since the Uvalde shooting and whether your child's school today is any safer than it was a year ago.
2 teachers, 19 students, to do nothing.
Let me make one thing perfectly clear.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott said would be unacceptable.
The status quo is unacceptable. This crime is unacceptable.
As Texas investigators dissected what happened on that fateful day,
he came straight through the door with no problem.
State officials pointed to the failure in securing campuses.
It was unlocked. He walked straight through it.
In the days after the Uvalde shooting, Governor Abbott ordered all Texas schools to conduct an audit on all exterior campus doors.
See, this is a no-go. It needs to shut on its own.
Then, during the school year, trained inspectors conducted surprise intruder audits on more than 6,000 campuses in Texas, checking to make sure doors were locked so a potential gunman from the outside couldn't get inside.
What we're trying to do is prepare schools to minimize as much loss to life as possible, and in the best case scenario, prevent it completely.
But many victim families,
and I'm here begging,
pointed to another failure after the Uvalde shooting, the failure of law enforcement.
The people that were supposed to keep her safe at school didn't. They failed.
And so the state allocated more funds for training. Since the Uvalde shooting, 16,000 Texas officers have undergone active shooter response training through the Texas State University Alert Program, the most in a year span in the program's history. Many who received the training this year
stay down, don't move, stay down,
were school resource officers.
So with everything that schools and lawmakers have done in this past year, can we say that Texas schools are safer now than they were a year ago?
We can say we're more cognizant of what took place.
Craig Miller is a school security consultant and former police chief for the Dallas Independent School District.
I think the more hardening and making sure doors are all locked is great. We still have to get back to the root cause of what is the problem, and that's the person who's experiencing a psychological episode that prompts them to come onto the campus.
Last year, a CBS News Texas I-Team investigation found most Texas schools offered little to no direct access to mental health services for students. The state's telehealth program, known as CHECHAT, was supposed to ensure at least virtual mental health access to all Texas students. But our investigation found the CHECHAT program was not being used by more than 800 school districts across the state.
Why isn't it available for every Texas student?
That's where we need to go. And so this is a new program. We started it in September of 2019. And so our plan is, over the next year, to continue to roll this out to the rest of the state of Texas.
In the past year since our investigation aired, 181 additional districts have signed up for the TCHAT program. Now, students in more than half of all school districts in Texas have virtual access to a licensed school psychologist.
Got to focus on the things that really matter.
Miller says the focus on school safety since the Uvalde shooting has been positive, but adds Texas schools still have a long ways to go.
We can say we're going to do better, we're going to lock more doors, we're going to do more checks, but we have to change the culture of a school. And until you change the culture and put safety as the priority, you're not going to see the things happen that need to happen.
Now, whether it's adding bulletproof film to glass windows or hiring more counselors, it all goes back to funding. Since the Uvalde shooting, we have seen state lawmakers allocate more money to the state's Child Mental Health Consortium. There are also several bills making their way through the state legislature that would increase funding for school security. But Doug and Nicole, schools and mental health advocates say more is needed.
Yeah, he's, I think, I don't want to, I'll paraphrase. Yeah. He said we're cognizant. We need to be better than cognizant today.
Exactly. And I think that's what parents want. They want action. Yeah. So if we talk about action, costs money most of the time, finite amount of money set aside for stuff like this. Is there anything schools can do during these summer months that's free to keep the school safer.
So one thing that Craig Miller told us, one of the biggest issues that he sees really across the state is this lack of communication between school districts and law enforcement. He says so much would be gained if the school superintendent simply sat down with their city's police chief. So just some more communication between law enforcement and schools would be a good start.
Cost you how much?
That's right.
Nothing.
Zero.
Right. Maybe a cup of coffee.
There you go.
Exactly.
Brian New, thank you.
Yeah.
Brian.